But I want to go back to one thing. Let's go to the Miami offer because I don't think it's as bad as everybody makes it out to be. I really don't. Like everybody's going completely nuts about it. Get the picks, get the picks that are in the future. When Dame is 35, when Jimmy's 35, like when this team is old, like put yourself in a good position with draft picks and whatnot and draft equity, which eventually you can use. Forget about making the pick, use them in a trade down the road when they're valuable. And I think that's the stuff there. I mean, it's like I think we're going way too far with this stuff. Like they're not getting a Kevin Durant return for Damian Lillard because he's not as good as Kevin Durant and he doesn't have even touched the levels that KD has touched. Okay. He's going to get a step higher than Kyrie Irving. And Kyrie did not go for that much when you look at the deal. Really. I looked at it recently and we know all the stuff with Kyrie. But one unprotected first round pick, 2 second-round picks, and Dorian Finney-Smith. I think they're going to do better than that. I think the Miami offer is better than that, even. But like it's not going to be much more. And I think that's something that people have to understand realistically about the trade value.
I mean, so the Miami offer, it seems like one of the big sticking points is Tyler Hero. And from what I understand, I think Portland wants to bring in another team, and which that whatever,
fine.
But the Miami picks themselves, guys, I think if I'm a team and I'm looking at the Miami Heat and I'm looking at their history and how they always remain competitive, and I'm getting a bunch of first round picks in the future, those picks aren't as valuable as, the Charlotte Hornets sending me picks or the Timberwolves sending me picks. So I do think that there is a little bit of, not all first round picks are created equal, Mo, right? Like, and Jovic he's an intriguing player, but who is he? What is he? We don't know yet. Those picks are not exactly, those are not gold bars.
So it's interesting that Mo made the comparison to Kyrie Irving, because the more natural comparison, just when we consider his age, his injury history, he's a better player, unquestionably. But between age, injury history, and contract, Bradley Beal is the more natural. Now that's obscured a little bit because not just sort of a sort of an announcement of a I choose my trade destination, but an actual like contractual no trade clause sort of clouds that a little bit. And so I think if they got the equivalent of what what Brooklyn got for Kyrie, I think they would have done fantastically well. Because I think that, we see the picks and the swaps, and it seems like more. But to your point, Dave, I think that history has shown, kind of like Lakers picks, Heat picks are maybe a little bit of a mirage in terms of actually how valuable they turn out to be.
Yeah, we got to stop that because I think that's bullshit. And I'm sorry with that, but with both of your guys' opinion on this. This Heat team eventually is going to fall off when you think about the contracts that they got to pay out on these guys. Right, Damian
Lillard, that contract in 2 years, what's that going to look like? Right, like he's 33 years old going into this season,
and same for Jimmy.
Years left on the deal.
Same for Jimmy's. That's going to age. Also, how long's Patrick Riley hanging around? And Patrick, I mean, like
yeah. Hey, man, you went whole first name.
I mean, but like the whole thing though, it's like we just keep saying like they've always been this. So they're never going to be bad. Yo, that's bullshit.
I mean, less likely to be bad. I mean, like
no, listen, but I mean, like it's coming for them. This deal for them for Dame is a 2-year run. That's it, and that's why Dame only makes sense at so many teams because you have to believe you can win a championship with Damian Lillard. He's your missing piece that he can get you a championship either this coming season or the next one because the tax bill's coming. And I think that's an important aspect that we just kind of keep ignoring. And so when we talk about the picks aren't going to be that valuable, I go, bullshit. I think they're going to be bad in a few years.
I think this edges into sort of another complication in this, which sort of, I think we're all going to go round and round and switch sides on this like several different times because we've all taken every side of each argument.
My favorite thing to do.
But in a way, part of Portland's negotiating strategy, such as it is, has been, well, that deal's always going to be there. And now I think Miami probably sees what you see, and then they look and see, well, hold on. We've got a pretty good team now. Wait a minute. People always want to come to Miami because it's Miami and we're the Heat and we have a certain aura about us, a certain culture, if you will. There's some pretty big names who are younger, better, bigger. So at a certain point, at what point do they is that leverage they can apply? Hey, do this now or we'll wait. We're pretty good. We've made the finals a couple times with what we got. You do your thing, and then we'll trade for Embiid or Giannis in a year. That's sort of a complicating factor that has only recently like crested the horizon, I think.
Well, and those two guys in particular are definitely part of why there are no offers outside of Miami, right?
That's why teams are going, hey, let's just save our stuff for the younger guys, the bigger guys. The one guy who won an MVP, the one who won 2 and a championship. Let's go save it for those guys. And who, by the way, not going to probably fall off a cliff in the next 2 or 3 years. Knock on wood, injury wise, who knows? But in that sense, just, age makes a difference in all that stuff. Like, I thought Portland's handling of the situation from when the trade demand went out was poor because, again, it allowed Miami to see the market. Listen, all last offseason, I was convinced Donovan Mitchell's going to be a Knick. I was massively wrong, right? A Suitor came out of nowhere, and it's possible that happens again. But I don't know.
Donovan Mitchell might be a Knick. Yeah.
It still might be a Knick, right? But I don't know. I just don't see it. And I think if a new Suitor was going to come along, they would have come already. And they've already would have given Portland the offer they want. The idea that this offer is always going to be there and let's wait and see how the season goes because there's always a surprise team and a team that's going to feel like they can make a run at it. There's also not a lot of teams that have a ton of assets. They missed the window to trade Dame. They could have traded him last year to Minnesota if they made this demand last year, they said, hey, we're going to move Dame last year. Minnesota might have taken a look at that before Gobert and making that stupid ass offer. And by the way, just because Minnesota makes a dumbass offer doesn't mean the other teams have to do so as well. People need to understand that in that regard. I think, the Donovan Mitchell trade, maybe that would have been a Damian Lillard trade. There's not a lot of teams that have all of that. And now, as Seth said, Giannis is on the horizon. And we saw what happened the last time Giannis was potentially not going to sign the contract extension. It froze everything for 2 years. Everybody just waited. Same thing with Embiid, depending on how this Harden thing shakes out. You joked about it, Dave, but shit, man, what happens if Luka Doncic demands a trade? We're not far from that. It kicks Dame down further and further away, and it lowers the value again.